Welcome back to Get Down to Business. I've been excited for this conversation. I am thrilled to be joined by Dr. Kim Solez, an American pathologist and co-founder of BANF classification, the first standardized international classification for renal biopsies. Really, really fascinating story, and he's continuing to innovate and make a difference. But Kim, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And
Absolutely.
So
no, a true pleasure. And I'd like to get to know the person behind the microphone first. So let's start with that. Kim Solez, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a physician. I just celebrated my 75th birthday. Rather unusual way. We had a day-long Zoom celebration, 4 2-hour segments, 4 hours apart, including people from all over the world.
I'll be honest, you should have invited my wife and I to the party, because I understand you share a birthday with her on June 20th. So happy birthday to you. And maybe next year we'll plan, hopefully we'll do something in person. How about that? We'll get off of Zoom.
Sounds good. Yeah.
But Kim, tell us a little bit about how you got into the world of medicine, and in particular in pathology, and your research.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that's happened to me over and over in life is the opening up of an opportunity by hearing other people say, "Oh no, that's way too complicated," as a way of explaining why they would never try to do something. But if you take that same situation that other people say that about and simply try to muddle your way through, and if you're the only one doing it, there's no competition, right? And so it's kind of a much easier way to accomplish things than to be conforming and leading a life that has numerous precedents of other people leading a similar life. So anyway, I've done many things like that, and starting the BANF classification was the first of those, I guess, and it's turned out pretty well. So that happened 30 years ago in 1991. Now, why is it called the BANF classification? Why isn't it the Kim Solez classification? Well, I wanted it to be for everybody and to be equitable and equally available to everyone. And you say, well, what's the good of that? Well, one thing is, this is one of the few medical standards that has no competition. And because of the way it was set up, if it had been called the Solez classification, I think it would have numerous competing platforms now and factions, some liking this platform, some liking that. So it's unusual. One algorithm, if you will, one plan for a structure in an area of medicine that everybody agrees on worldwide. So that's what we have here in the BANF classification. And so I've been maintaining consensus, generating consensus worldwide for 30 years. You can only do that at the cutting edge of technology. And so in the beginning, that was fax machines, and then, the internet and so on. So for the past 10 years, I'm teaching a course on technology and the future of medicine. And now we have series of courses that will be available on academia.edu starting September 15th on the unlikely subject of how AI and blockchain can save humanity from itself, and soon. So what's that about, saving humanity from itself? Well, things like COVID-19, systemic racism, colonialism, male aggression, climate emergency, all these things are areas in which one can apply artificial intelligence and blockchain to actually solve things that human beings probably can't solve on their own without that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And now, again, I'm chatting with Dr. Kim Solez, who just at 75 years old, I saw an article that basically says that life is just getting started for you. And I know that our listeners can't see you, but you sound like an 18-year-old, sort of as I think you've said in the past, just busting out of you every once in a while.
Yeah.
So you're writing a memoir called
Serially Surreal.
Tell us about
what Leonard Cohen called me. Leonard Cohen is the iconic poet, singer, songwriter. He had a best-selling book of poetry. That doesn't happen very often. And so he and I met over a 3 weekend in 2005. And he thought I was the great master of the surreal and serially surreal. So the students working with me had the idea that this had something to do with my being neuroatypical, having an unusual personality in a positive way. So I did a personality test, Neo PIR in April of 2021 that showed I have sky-high openness to experience and almost zero neuroticism. So I don't spend time worrying about things that don't need to be worried about, and I see sort of no upper bound in how big you can think. And I really think that that's true, that there is no limit in how big you can think. So I know that this is audio only, but the graphic behind me is like a megastructure around the Earth, and you can also have one around the sun and so on. So, I mean, those are bigger actions than I think most people ever think of, when they think of, what's the biggest thing you could be involved in. And if you think of the 8 billion people on the earth, there really are things you can do that could positively impact all of them. And I think that's not unrealistic to think about. So that's
absolutely. Again, I'm chatting with Dr. Kim Solez, who, again, at age 75, is continuing his work with a new memoir called Serially Surreal, which is what he was called by the late, great singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen. So, Kim, I have to ask, as we come to a conclusion in our conversation over here, what's your advice? What's your advice for entrepreneurs that might be tuning in to get down to business? What are some of the things that have worked in your career, in your entrepreneurship, that you would want others to consider and to put into practice?
Well, if you think of high-level positions as sort of apprenticeship, right? That somebody else has done it before, they show you how and so on. That works fine for like blacksmiths learning to put shoes on horses. But for medicine and other high-level pursuits, that's really not the way to think about life. I mean, actually, creativity and making things up as you go along to deal with brand new situations is a very important skill. So I think one way to think about it is that you can really create your own path in life. It's really so old and tired to just follow the same path somebody else has followed. And when you do that, it's actually easier because there's no competition, no way to measure you against anyone else because you're the first one doing that. And so people who think it's incredibly hard don't realize how incredibly easy it really is to take a path in life different from what anyone has ever done before.
Well, Kim, I want to make sure our listeners have the opportunity to get in touch with you and find a copy of Serially Surreal when it's available. Real quick, how can people get a hold of you?
So it's justmachines.com, justmachines.com /about, and then you can find lots and lots of stuff there. And
well, Dr. Kim Solez, I appreciate you joining us. I cannot wait to see the book. Again, justmachines.com. Be sure to check it out. I encourage all of our listeners to do so. Kim, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
We're going to squeeze in a quick break. We'll be right back and get down to business.